Okay, hello everyone. I hope I am audible to all of you. I hope all of you can see my screen. We are back with our legal updates special edition this time, especially for CLAT. I know a lot of you were waiting for these legal update sessions that we were conducting early this year, and then we discontinued it, and here we are back for your preparation of CLAT. Now, what made me start this session today was a huge influx of legal update related news and related information that we were getting continuously from Supreme Court, from newspaper, all of these places, and which becomes very important from your exams perspective, since you may get some kind of passages, some kind of concept related paragraphs or questions, or maybe there can be any tweaks in the question or in the options as well. So legal updates automatically becomes very important. I took one session a few months back on what are these kind of sessions, what are the purpose of these kind of session. I will put a link in the description box if just in case you are still unaware as to why legal updates are important. However, today we are receiving a very recent and just today we were getting this update from Supreme Court on the same-sex marriage, and that is why I thought of taking up this topic today. Of course, we have few more legal updates in line, but I would like to talk about this in detail because our Chief Justice of India, he has been quite active in this topic with regard to the discussion and with regard to the judgments. Previously, we have seen a judgment of Navdeep Singh Johar case that decriminalized homosexuality or the entire LGBTQ in our country. However, this was a judgment. This was a case wherein we were expecting some kind of progress. However, we got to see some progress in few regards, but not overall. So let's see what it was all about. So basically, there was this case which was filed in Supreme Court, and the hearing was happening since quite a few months now. The case was in short, we call it Supriyo case. However, the complete name of the case is Supriyo Chakrabarti and another versus Union of India. So basically, it was regarding the legal recognition of the same-sex marriage and civil union. See, there are two things here, right? One is about marriage and the other one is about civil union. So both of these would come into the discussion of the court judgment when the court would discuss. Now, before getting ahead with that, just a second, this is happening. Before getting into the judgment, it's very important for us to understand what the court got to hear from both the parties, right? So initially, we had this party of Supriyo Chakrabarti, and the other party was, of course, the government of India. Petitioner had the issue with regard to the lack of right of married couple, yes, and the government basically focused on the traditional Indian family unit. These were the main contentions of both of these parties. Since fundamental right also comes into picture, it became a huge deal, right? And then came the judgment. What did our court talk about with respect to this case? So basically, the court, at the end of the day, firstly, compared Indian laws with US Supreme Court judgment, because we have been receiving these kind of judgments. We have been receiving these kind of news from all over the world, almost all the developing countries. Some of them are, legalizing it. Some of them are not legalizing it yet. And as always, we took the example of US, right? Like in most of the cases, the Indian court, we always compare our laws with US and UK in a lot of cases as well, in which the court basically affirmed that yes, marriage is something that requires some amount of constitutional protection. However, they refused they refused the right of same-sex couple to marry or to have any kind of civil union as well, right? Why? Because according to the court, it is up to the parliament to decide as to what kind of laws have to be made for the people. So it is like a parliament's role, and hence court should not get into this matter according to the court. And that was the real main ground why it was refused. The case was rejected. However, it's very important for us to see what were the majority and minority opinion with this regard, because both of these opinions are quite interesting to see. First is, let's talk about the majority opinion, of course, wherein it was agreed by three judges that there's no unqualified right to marriage involved in this case. Plus, civil union is something that is enacted law, and hence court cannot create any kind of laws in this regard. It is the job of parliament, right? Also, there was a positive note as to that, yes, queer, they have some right of choosing the partners. However, they cannot adopt children under our adoption laws, right? Plus, they asked the central government to set up a committee and do their own kind of research and come up with a report as to what is the current situation, what is the current condition of these kind of marriages, and what can be the complication, what can be the consequences, what are the risk factors, what can be positives, what can be negatives, the entire analysis of this issue. Also, transgenders, they got the right to marry. So that was the majority judgment, majority opinion. However, if we look into the minority opinion, our CJI was one of them, right, who was sitting in our minority side. That was our Justice Chandrachud. The minority opinion was simply that they can get into civil unions, right? Constitution doesn't grant any fundamental right to marriage, which is true. We do not get any kind of fundamental right in our constitution. And on the basis of that, on a very positive note, the minority opinion also stated that court should not strike down these provisions. It is for the parliament to decide on the same-sex marriage. So if you see, almost on both of these minority and majority side, this point has been taken, correct? And they also believed that, yes, transgender should get the right to marry, and we should get the right to adopt child, which was not accepted by the majority opinion. Now, what was the conclusion of the court? So basically, our court declared that we individuals have a right to civil union, but not marriage under existing laws. No fundamental rights. They do not get to adopt children as per our adoption laws of India. Plus, government should not bar them from union to avail state benefits, right? Because there were quite a lot of incidents wherein it was seen that there are certain state functionaries who rejected some kind of state benefits which were supposed to be given to all the citizens of the country on the basis of their gender, which is again against constitution, and hence the court made this point in this judgment. Now, okay, that was about today's big news that we got today. However, other than that, there are a few other topics also which are very important from the exam's perspective, which we have been seeing quite a lot of articles, quite a lot of editorials, columns in the newspaper, quite a lot of discussions happening all around, right? So it becomes important for us to be aware of these kind of topics, so that just in case CLAT hits us with any of those topics, we should not get a setback of surprise there, right? We should not have that kind of situation which can get us into panic, right? We should be ready for that. And hence, very important, all of these topics that we are going to discuss, right? Of course, the same-sex marriage was important from a lot of perspectives other than exam also. However, from now, whatever we are going to discuss, all of these are going to be very, very important from your exams perspective. So please, if you're making notes, please get your notes ready, short notes ready. Other than that, if you are not making notes, I would suggest you to watch this video on some good speed, right? And you may revise the video on that speed later on. Do not forget the revision of all these discussions that we are having, right? Article 122, very, very important article of our constitution. Now, firstly, why, right? Every time, whenever we see any kind of news in the newspaper, right, we always should have this tendency of asking, why? Why is this particular thing an issue? Right. And if you see that there is any legality at the background of it, it becomes important from your exams perspective. Now, what happened here was that there was a case wherein Supreme Court granted some kind of divorce, and it was important for them to follow Article 142 in that case in order to do complete justice. Now, ma'am, okay, you said complete justice, but isn't it the job of the court? Yes, exactly. That is what is the job of the court, and hence we are discussing that, right? And we need to understand Article 142, because then you will get to know a lot of things about how Supreme Court takes up cases and what kind of expectations do people have, do Constitution have from the Supreme Court, right? And what kind of immense responsibility they hold. Now, there was this case wherein it was a basically divorce case and Hindu Marriage Act. I hope all of you know that divorce is governed under Hindu Marriage Act in India for Hindus. Now, it was on that wherein Article 142 was taken up by the court. Now, ma'am, what does Article 142 talks about, right? If you look at it, basically, very simply, it provides some kind of discretionary power to the Supreme Court. Means that Supreme Court has some powers through which, on its own discretion, they can make any kind of order, they can pass any kind of judgment or decree, right? In order to do a complete justice. Look at this, complete justice in any case that is pending. So, if the Supreme Court is somehow convinced that in order to render complete justice, they will have to take any kind of order, or they'll have to give any kind of decree or any kind of judgment or any kind of any instruction, any notification, any rules or regulation, any guideline or anything, the court will go ahead with that, right? So court can do that. Why? Because that is the power that they gain from our Article 142. I hope that is clear, and it is a very important article, right? Because we have been hearing about Article 142 since quite a few time now. So I mean, almost for the entire year, we have been hearing about it here and there. So becomes important from your exams perspective. Now, why did it get so much of importance this year? It was because of our former Prime Minister, right? Rajiv Gandhi, who got assassinated. And who assassinated him? It was A.G. Pirarivalan. Now, he was one of the life convict in that particular case. And in his case, Article 142 was invoked by the court, wherein he was released from the court. Not only that, even in Ayodhya dispute case, Article 142 was taken up. So how courts are taking all these cases up and giving their own judgments on the basis of Article 142. Why? Because Article 142 gives them all the rights to do anything, pass any order, to pass any kind of judgment, decree that would render complete justice. Please focus on the word complete justice, because again, these kind of keywords become very important from an exam's perspective, because CLAT can catch you on those words. Now, however, 142, ठीक है, when we hear about it, oh, that's a very powerful function that, or such a powerful provision, right? That Constitution has for the Supreme Court. However, everything cannot be absolute, right? And it cannot be absolutely right as well. That is because we have seen in certain cases wherein Article 142 was seen in the eyes of judicial overreach, wherein in what kind of cases, in ban of alcohol in national and state highways kind of cases, right? These are the cases wherein this article, this provision was sort of misused, right? And hence they had some kind of negative impact also. Why? Because Article 142 is sort of ambiguous, right? Does not give a complete demarcation of ki, bhaiya, okay, these are the only cases wherein you can do these things, right? These are the only cases wherein you can pass order. These are the only cases wherein you can discussion. There's no such demarcation, and since there is no such demarcation, there is no such explanation, description provided. Hence, it brings ambiguity. It brings a lot of risk for judicial overreach and unaccountability as well, and hence the phrase complete justice becomes unclear, it becomes vague, right? And hence it is completely up to the Supreme Court to follow its own discretion, their own explanation, their own assumptions to understand what complete justice can be, which can actually confuse the general public, right, if not the courts. Okay, next is hate speech. I'm sure there would be no one in our country who would have not heard about it, or who would not know that this has actually become an issue, right? Every now and then we keep hearing about hate speech. Now, hate speech in general, in layman term, everybody knows, but since we are law students, right, we need to know about it from the legal perspective as well. Now, what happened? Supreme Court passed a direction, right, with regard to the FIR, wherein, with regard to the hate speech FIR, wherein the court simply said that FIR must be filed for all those incidents wherein hate speech was involved, right? Even if there is no complainant, but if there is any hate speech involved, FIR must be filed. Now, Supreme Court said that, okay, ma'am, I understood. But ma'am, what is hate speech? How will we know that there is a hate speech which has been given? So in general, hate speech simply means something that incites some kind of hatred, right, against a particular group or a community, or a particular religion, a race, or a gender, the entire any kind of community, any kind of group of people. So if there is any such statement which has been made by a person that is inciting some kind of hatred against the other group or other community, that would amount to hate speech. All right. Now, ma'am, but am I supposed to only say, I mean, will it happen only when I say something from my mouth, or I can even write about it, or even I can draw about it? Of course, it can be any form of expression. Even if you're writing anything, you're saying anything, you're drawing something, you have drawn a cartoon, you're using some kind of object, there is some gesture, symbol, all of these would include hate speech. All right. What is the current status in our country? Of course, we have no such definition. No legal definition has been given about hate speech, and that is why there has been so much of hassle and confusion around it. However, in IPC also, you would see there are certain provisions which can be utilized towards the hate speech, provisions like 153A, 153B, 298, that actually talks about speech and words that create mischief. I hope you would have heard about, not just heard, in fact, you should have studied about mischief by now in your legal subjects. Why? Because very important topic from your CLAT perspective, mischief, right? It's very conceptual, very subject related, so you must be aware of it. In fact, you must have solved a lot of questions around nuisance and mischief and all of these topics, very important. Okay, now there are certain recommendation, or I would say there are certain proposals which have been made by our law commission, right? With regard to criminalization of hate speech in our country. So that has also happened. Why? Because in last few years, we have seen quite an increase in the number of hate speech cases. Uh, Now, talking about the punishment, also, we have no idea about the punishment as well, because no law actually talks about what kind of punishment has to be given. And that is why Law Commission has started taking it so seriously. Other than that, Supreme Court uh, has something to say. In fact, Supreme Court has said a lot of things about hate speech in a lot of cases. However, in short, they have simply stated that hate speech statute aimed to prevent prejudice and ensure equality, right? So this is basically the summary of all that judgment. However, cannot be followed absolutely. Next is about POSH. I hope you would have heard about this also. Issues with the protection of women from sexual harassment. Very important, again, very, very important, because we have seen quite a lot of cases surrounding it. And there have been quite a lot of discussions in the newspaper, in both the Hindu and Indian Express, wherein we read about it, and hence becomes important from our exams perspective. Now, we are actually talking about issues, right? Because recently, just a few months back, there was an article in the newspaper, which a huge article, a big article, which was talking about the POSH, right? And the issues related to POSH. Now, what are the issues? Why this kind of harassments are taking place against women, that too at the workplace? What are the reasons? What are the issues? Now, there are certain issues which were highlighted by the Supreme Court in a particular case, and that case was discussed by the newspaper a lot. One is implementation. Of course, you make laws, but after legislature comes what? Execution, right? And execution becomes a major issue. So implementation has become an issue. Other than that, there are certain uncertainty about whom to approach, means the authority, right? Who is going to be the authority at the workplace to whom I'm going to approach just in case if I'm facing any kind of harassment, right? So that kind of confusion, that kind of void is still existing, that kind of uncertainty exists. Other than that, reluctance, right? That confidence. People don't have that kind of confidence that they can get justice from these kind of laws. Other than that, women are reluctant to report such kind of misconduct also because of a lot of reason, family reason, society reason. There are a lot of such obstacles and hurdles that they have, on the basis of which they are not confident enough, they are not secure, they do not feel secure enough to go and report about such misconducts. Other than that, insensitive comments that they receive when they go ahead and file these kind of cases, right? Other than that, the hostile, insensitive, and unresponsive working environment towards women employees hampers the success of ACT. Why? Because if the working culture at the workplace is toxic, it is going to stop the woman from filing any kind of such case. Two very important other case reasons and factors was also pointed out by the Supreme Court in the judgment, wherein the Supreme Court said that even the non-compliance in the formation of ICC also created an issue. Just a second. Yes. Even non-compliance in the formation of ICC also created an issue. Why? Because there are only 16 out of 30 national sport federation wherein you would see any kind of ICCs. What are ICCs? Internal complaint committee. So if there is no such complaint committee existing in a particular sports federation, of course, that is going to be an issue, and that is going to create a void in the system wherein women would not get any authority or any point of contact to whom they can contact to report any such kind of misconduct, right? Other than that, the fear of stepping out of home. Now, if they are not provided any kind of safe environment, any kind of secure workplace environment, of course, they would not be feeling secured enough, and they would not get that dignified life, even when they have all their talents and skills. Uh, right. So that also becomes an issue. And court also uh, pointed out that there have been cases wherein the principle of natural justice was compromised. Why? Because people were in a hurry to solve the case. Now, I have a job for you. Can you please tell me, can you please write down the principle of natural justice? What are the principles of natural justice in the comment box below? I'll check it. So yes, that was it from my side, guys. Thank you so much. I'm sure, I'm very sure that these legal updates are going to definitely help you all in your examination. Please be consistent with these kind of updates. I will keep coming up with this special edition of legal updates for your CLAT preparation. Please let me know what else do you want me to discuss. If there is any other topic that you want me to discuss or anything of that sort, please let me know in the comment box below, or please let me know in legal what kind of help would you need from me. I will definitely try to help you out in every way possible for your CLAT examination. So yes, that would be it. Thank you so much, guys, and all the very best. Please keep your Josh high. I'll see you in the next session.